it's worse things happening in Greece and stuff at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah. It's well, the wet. You guys, you have the best weather in the world down there.
It's
You
beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just I love Australia. I haven't been there for years and years, but I love Australia.
That saves me asking the question whether you've come down here or not anyway. But how many interviews have you done already this morning?
Oh, a couple,
Just a couple. I'll try to stick away from the usual questions, you know what I mean? But once I saw your bio, mate, you make guilty pleasure films. I love it. I saw your bio, I went, he's done The Punisher, he's done Armageddon, he's done The Saint, all these films that I grew up with that I absolutely love. What gets you into that genre of film? What did you grow up with? What were your films that you grew up on?
We call it, there's a term that Hollywood people use, which is the golden window. And
yes.
that's a specific window when you're a child where the films impact you more than any other period of your life. And my golden window, it was Clint Eastwood movies, it was like the dirty, hairy pictures, so the sort of hard-boiled crime stuff.
Yeah.
But then also it was things that it was the advent of the Spielberg era.
Yeah.
It's coming in. So these were very broad-based things that then came to be known as the tentpole films.
Yeah.
And I loved film. I loved all kinds of films.
Yes.
I loved the hard-boiled dramas, Chinatown and Taxi Driver and Godfather and all of these other things. But it was the pictures that had tremendous forward momentum, had a sort of a relentless edge of your seat style to them that really caught my fancy. And when I came into the film business, those were the kinds of things that were striking my imagination. When I was writing original material, I was always searching for pictures that created that kind of excitement.
Yes. And what I see with yours, and it's going to be like a backhanded compliment, but it's not going to be like that. With yours, like, you're not going to make a Schindler's List with your action adventure film, but I don't want to go back and watch Schindler's List again and again. With your films, I want to go back and watch them again and again. Like I saw when you took a part in Con Air, or you helped write The Rock. I've watched those heaps of times. You know what I mean? They make you come back because they are experience away from the real world, and they give you a sense of joy when you leave them. You know what I mean? So that's what I find with your types of films, that they make you come back and watch them again and again.
Well, thank you. That is that's the intent.
Yes.
People ask why you one in Hollywood does what one does,
Yes.
And I guess I've never really cared about the award season so much.
Yeah.
But I do care about box office, because box office that relates to how well the picture's playing to the audience. And I've been very gratified in my career in that the pictures that I did even 30 years ago, they continue to be played. Even Jumanji, that was remade, the original Jumanji is still played all the time and enjoyed, and my pictures just continue to live through the streaming services, and
that must be a good feeling for you, though.
It's a very good feeling.
My 7 and 10-year-old watched Jumanji, your one, like the original one. They're all yours. You get writing credits on all of it, but the original one, and they're like, oh wow, that is what the second one is based off. It's like, oh cool. It brings it together between my 7 and 10-year-old and me, going, I grew up on the original, right? Now there's this newer one, and it's a good feeling to like bond together with that type of stuff.
Awesome, great, I love it.
So how does you talked about streaming services. How does that affect you? Because you sold Ice Road to Netflix. Does that take the pressure off you when a streaming services buy it, or would that like still added pressure there?
This is a terrific question, and no, it really is, and it's one you always know it's a good question because when you don't really know how to answer.
Yes.
And because the dust is settling for myself, for the producers, for
Yep.
all of us. This is a totally new world for us.
Yes.
We made the film independently.
Yep.
So we did it independently because I'm a director who can keep the cost of the negative
Yep.
down. You know, I don't go crazy. I don't mind my constraints, put it that
Yep.
way. And we had the flexibility then to sell it in a number of ways. I think the reason why Code Entertainment, who made the film and financed the film, sold it to Netflix was because the COVID situation was so uncertain when they were making the deal.
Did you make this during COVID, or did you make it before COVID?
We were the last film allowed to shoot in all of North America. And the only reason why we were allowed to shoot for an extra week rather than any other production was because the caseload of COVID was so minimal in the province of Manitoba and the city of Winnipeg. So when New York was reporting 1,000 cases, Winnipeg was only reporting 3.
Yeah.
So because it's so off the beaten track, the city. So so we came in, we were very late in production schedule, and then but when they were selling the film, they didn't know what the theatrical distribution landscape was going to look like. So they said, well, we've got to recoup this money. And Netflix wants it. Everybody wanted the ice. All the streaming services wanted it. We had multiple offers, and Netflix came in with a very generous offer. So we went with the Netflix deal, and the foreign territories had already been sold foreign, like Australia.
I think it starts in about a week here, actually, on the cinemas.
And it's a mixed bag because in post-production, I would see the film up on the big screen and I'd say, well, geez, you want this on the biggest screen possible because those big wide vistas of Lake Winnipeg and all that,
Cinematography is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
You get what you pay for.
It makes you feel cold. You know what I mean? When you're wrapped by it, you'll be feeling cold. On a smaller screen, I don't think you'd feel that. And that's why I was wondering with you as a writer-director, it's a whole new landscape. So I don't know how you, as you said, navigate it. It's like maybe a bit of pressure's off, the Netflix has bought it. But I see it as a purist going, I reckon people should see this on the big screen. But the new way of the world, do I have to change my mindset as well?
Again, it's very interesting. The points that you're bringing up. It's simply because people are asking me, well, what's next from me? And I'm thinking, well, I've had a wonderful experience with all these theatrical releases, but I've had this very wonderful experience with Netflix going forward here. And the picture has gone completely bonkers on Netflix. It
number one in the US, I saw on the first week release.
It's a huge success. If we reduced the number of viewings down to a theatrical release domestic, it would be the equivalent of a $400 million opening in.
That must make you very proud.
I love it. But at the same time, you kind of sit there going, oh, I'm still a creature of the old way. And
yes, that's me too,
I love those old theatrical releases. So I'm hoping that we are able to go forward, maybe my own career with doing it both ways here. And
it's just, it's so uncharted territory. It's such a weird feeling seeing it all, you know what I mean? And that's what I mean. I'm trying to get my head around it. And I'm thinking, you're the one that's making the soup, so you're going to get your head around how it's working as well. But once you saw it was number one on Netflix, you must be going, okay, I'm pretty calm about it all now. But it's such a weird vibe you're getting from it. Are you hearing from truckers about the film, picking stuff out?
We absolutely have, and the blogosphere was really in flames about the picture. Like it was a very hot topic, and we were running pretty well. There's always detractors, there's always haters, and we got some in the fringes that were like, oh, that never happens, and oh, that's these Hollywood jerks are inflating. But about 85% were very positive, and that gave it allowances, and they also said they gave a lot of kudos for the reality base of the film.
But it's part of the fun of filmmaking as well. Like I was wondering, like when you write a film, you know something's going to be so exaggerated that people are going to look at it and go, that's not possible. But that's part of the enjoyment of it. You know what I mean? Just like, that's part of the fun of it, just going, it can't happen. But in Hollywood, it can happen. So I'm thinking all the truckies going to look at it and go, really? But then you look at it, and I'll tell you this honestly, right? So before I was interviewing you, they gave me a screener to watch. So I go to the blood bank to donate plasma, and they got the heart rate thing on me while I'm donating plasma. And they're coming to me and go, why's your heart rate up? Because I'm watching that first scene on the ice when it's cracking, and they're going, what? You got to calm down. I said, I'm watching this movie. I can't calm down. So it evokes that feeling that my heart rate was going up watching it. And that's the joy I get out of these films as well. So as I said, I thought, oh, truckies are going to be so pissed at some parts. But it's part of the joy. It's the fun you relieve from it, don't you think?
Well, I do. And I'm glad you as a reviewer do as well.
Yeah.
You want a high degree of reality, but at the same time, you know that you got to push reality.
Yes.
It's this fine line, and it's kind of, Hollywood is filmmaking is sort of based on that fine line, so.
Did you intentionally put a red truck and a black truck for like Transformers, like Optimus Prime sort of vibes there? Because that looks so cool.
No. I made 2 pictures with Michael Bay, and I have a very high esteem for Michael as an action maker. But we just went for the most starkly contrasting primary colors. That's
Kenworth truck must be happy with you, man. Because even I looked at that and went, geez, I want to drive a Kenworth truck because they looked awesome. They look so powerful.
They were integral to the production.
Yeah.
Al Corley, producer Al Corley, has a relationship with the PACCAR of the parent company, and Kenworth donated the hero trucks, the actual real trucks, and the actual Kenworth cabs that we then mounted on these Ford 550 pickup trucks.
Yeah.
Allowing us to have a stunt driver down below driving the pickup truck.
That's so
allowing
awesome.
Liam Neeson to drive the thing. Yeah, that's how we did.
That is cool. It's all the behind the scenes stuff. I love to know. Yeah. What are you doing? Watches a 1953 film, Wages of Fear, to get your inspiration for it? I was going, where do you pluck that film from to watch it? Or are you just a historian when you watch movies?
I saw Wages of Fear when I was a little boy.
Yeah, and stuck with you.
Yeah, it was playing on television, and it was with subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was about 8 or 9 years old, and my brother and I saw this old French film, and we just started watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of grabbed us. And then once they get out on the road, I was just riveted.
Yeah.
And I remember it was this afternoon, we were watching this old French film,
Mm-hmm.
we were these kids, and it stuck with me forever.
Yeah.
William Friedkin too, as well. I mean, he remade it as Sorcerer, so.
It blew me away that the issues then are issues now as well, like corporate greed right back then. And you see it now going, oh my God, nothing has changed. Nothing's changed. It's actually probably gotten worse. And I saw when you related all your topics, you have corporate greed in there, you have land rights, you have PTSD. When do you know it's like, I'm going to tackle these issues, but I better not go overboard with them as well? Like, how do you sort of know that, okay, this is irrelevant, but I can't go too far with it? You know what I mean?
You kind of learn it. I think it takes a good long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hollywood loves films that are to some extent topical, but still relatively safe. In other words, you don't want these broad commercial entertainments to be really, it's not about that.
Yeah. People want to escape.
You want escapism. But it's fun to pepper it with, some window dressing that deals with.
Because I got angry at the bad guy. Like, I want to get angry. And I was like, I want revenge. You know what I mean? So that's how I felt watching it. So you've touched on that base, but that's what I was looking at it going, oh man, there's a lot of issues here. I just want revenge. You know what I mean? That's where Liam Neeson, of course, comes into it. You're going, oh, that's the ultimate revenge guide. He is, as I say, if I want to do a Liam Neeson, he's my ultimate guilty pleasure watcher. Because I know I'm always going to get a fun time out of it. And that's all I want to do. That's all. I want to walk out of the cinema and go, okay, that was fun. I had a good time. And that's all. I don't want to be stuffy review. Oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. No. Did you have a good time? Yes. That's all I need to know. You know what I mean? And that's what he brings to this film.
Yeah. Good.
How do you talk? This guy was going to retire 6 movies ago. How did you talk him into making a film again?
Oh, I didn't have to. I mean, he made noise recently in an interview that he was going to retire from the action adventure genre. You know, he's a remarkably preserved man at his age.
Yeah.
And I think that Liam will continue to work in this genre. If I think he'll be more selective about scripts.
Yep.
I can only just, you know, knock on wood and keep my fingers crossed that he would come aboard something that I do, because I love him to death.
Yeah.
You know, it's an amazing career. You know, here he was, he's Oscar Schindler. He's considered one of the very finest dramatic actors, you know, and then he does this picture that Luc Besson ropes him into, you know, The Taken, and all of a sudden he's got this whole other thing. Yeah. And I'm, you know, great, fantastic.
Yeah.
It's and he pulls it off at his age. You know,
that's what I mean. He didn't look like an old man shuffling around. As I said, I don't know how he felt out there in the cold. Like, I thought he'd pick a movie in Hawaii or something, but he's done a couple of snow films in the past few years. I'm like, dude, like, I don't know, even for you as a director, how bloody cold must it be, wrecking the camera, stuff like that. It must be just worse than shooting a water film, I'd find it as well.
It's very tough. And thank goodness the Winnipeg technicians are considered the best in the world at shooting in cold weather. They know how to keep the cameras from freezing.
Yep.
They're just all kinds of extra considerations that come in. So thank goodness we were in Winnipeg, because the local crew was terrific.
Have you shot a snow film before, really, yourself?
No.
No, that's what I thought. I thought it must be one of your first times. You're going to be coming trial and errors, but if you've got a good support team around you, it's going to help you immensely, I guess, as well.
You bet.
Now, last question. I've got a whole list of questions. I didn't even start them because I'm just talking to you ad lib. Lawrence Fishburne, man, how was that? That guy, people might say Matrix, but I always say Event Horizon when I think Lawrence Fishburne, because Event Horizon is one of my favorite films. But how's it working with him? That just amazed me seeing him in the cast.
Well, I didn't think we had a shot at Lawrence. I thought that there are a number of things. I thought that we weren't going to be able to schedule him properly, and that we weren't going to be able to afford him.
Yeah.
And the fact that he had looked at the project and said, I'd like to do this, because without giving anything away, it's a part that can be managed time-wise. And so the question was posed to me: can you consolidate his day shooting and get him in and out? And we worked overdrive to do just that. And as soon as we made it logistically easy for Lawrence, then he made, you know, there was a lot of talk that he was going to come aboard. And I was just like, I talk about fingers crossed. Because he's an icon and he's a film legend. And once we had him, and we had Liam and Lawrence as the two sort of touchstones, you know, the foundational aspect, then we could be more a wider latitude with the smaller parts. And Marcus, there was less pressure on Marcus and Amber.
They bring a lot of experience to the film as well, which will probably help you out as well.
Indeed.
Yeah, that'd be awesome for him. But I think I'm over my 15 minutes, so I've got to leave it there. I've got 10 million questions. Where, just one, I'll give someone. From 2011 to 2021, your bio is blank, but you must be doing stuff. Like, what's coming up?
I wrote a lot. I'm writing 2 novels, some action adventure novels.
Cool.
I have a major publishing house in New York that I'm going to do these as a series of licensed intellectual property for films as well. So we do the book, the novel, and the book. So I've been doing that, and I built a company in Las Vegas. I'm an entrepreneur, and I started this smoke wagon bourbon that is. It's sort of I don't know if you're a whiskey drinker, but
yeah, I am.
Well, it really took over my life, and it's immensely gratifying. I didn't think it was going to happen, but I love the business, and it's fun. And
is it a hobby that's turned into something else?
It never was a hobby. It's funny
really?
because they asked me that. I was always serious, but you know, you don't want to. It's almost like you jinx it by thinking that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're hoping it happens, but you still don't want to bank on it.
Yeah.
And the brand has just blown up. It's probably the hottest bourbon brand in America.
What's the brand again, so I can look out for it?
It's in the film, as people will see. So it's on the truck.
Oh, is that it? Oh,
that's it. It's Smoke Wagon Bourbon.
Yeah. Oh, that is so cool. Get your own plugs in there as well. That's fantastic. I'll have to look out for that, man. Yes, I've been to Balvenie. I've been on drinking as well.
Oh, yeah.
A bit of everything. So
very
I
good
really
take.
love that. So it's a good. Thank you very much for your time, mate. That is so awesome. I said I could talk to you for like 2 or 3 hours about film, but I'll leave you to it until your next project comes along. I'm going to go find a smoke wagon and drink and see how we go. Cheers, buddy.
You bet. Talk to you.
Enjoy
Bye.
Las Vegas. Take care, bud.
Okay, bye.
See you, man.